In today's video class, we will understand a wonderful story, The Selfish Giant. The story is composed by a very famous English story writer, Oscar Wilde. As the name suggests, the selfish giant. In the story, there is one of the prominent characters, and that is a giant, and who was very selfish. So let's have a look in the summary part. So the story is about a giant who is said to be very selfish. He had a very beautiful garden where the children played when he was away during 7 years. So every afternoon, as they were coming from school, they used to enter the large, lovely garden with flowers and peach tree. And the giant was away for 7 years. So one summer's afternoon, the giant returned to his garden and he saw the children were playing in. He bellowed them to get out. Means he just shouted at them angrily and made them run away. The giant decided not to allow anybody else into the garden to play there. So, by his selfishness, a very high wall was built around his garden so that the children could not go inside the beautiful garden to play. And moreover, he put a notice that outsiders or trespassers entering in the garden will be punished. You can see the board here. As spring turned into summer outside the wall, within the giant's garden it remained winter. No flowers, no bird, and no song, no children around. So all garden was covered by snow and the frost. So the giant wondered why the spring passed by his garden, because it was now always winter there. So one morning he heard some lovely music of some bird, and that was from outside his window. He jumped out of his bed and looked out. What did he see there? He saw a wonderful sight. Then the giant waked to a strange sound, and you can see that is chirping of birds. So he followed the sound to a far corner of the garden where he found some children playing very happily. In this corner of the garden, just this corner, the birds were singing and the garden was beautiful again. Only and only in that particular corner where the children were playing. And what about the rest of? In the rest of, it was all the same. All winter, all snow. So he went to work on the wall, means just to pull down the wall. So within hours, he had knocked down the wall. He just collided the wall because he could see what could happen in the absence of those budding, beautiful, and nice children. So he was longing for the spring in his garden. So for that purpose, he did it. So that evening, the garden was filled with the sound of happy children playing all around. The giant lay back, finally contented. It is your garden now, little children, and he announced. He offered his garden to the children. Now he was no more a selfish giant. Then the ending, as he became good, he would play with children all the time. So there was every time spring in his garden, every time flowers and bird chirping was there, and every time there was a lovely kind of scene in the ground. So years went by, and he now grew old and weak. He realized that the children were the most beautiful flowers of all. So then the next day, the children found him, that giant. He was dead, and he was covered in blossoms on the ground. Blossom means the flowers. The little boy had taken him to paradise, and the giant finally figured out that he should not be selfish after all. Means um, he he declared angrily that he could kill cruel man who had injured him. So at that, the small child, actually told him that those were the wounds of love, and it further told that it had come to take him to his garden of paradise. So, as in the story goes forward, in the afternoon the giant was found lying dead under the tree. And that little boy actually was a kind of angel or a representative of God who actually has taken him to paradise. And the giant finally figured out that he should not be selfish at all. So let's have an evaluation. So Oscar Wilde has showed us in the story the way to happiness. And the way to happiness is through true love and selflessness. This is the only way to happiness. We cannot get happiness by securing our own positions or by not allowing our garden to give it to anyone. Means sharing and true love and selflessness in our behavior can bring us true happiness in life. So at last, the giant became very happy and his soul became pure and it was taken to paradise. We can also find that love and after death we can get to a better place as the giant had this reward in the form as he was taken to the paradise in the end of the story. Quite, there's a spelling error, we can say. It is a quite touching and moral story. Yes, it is a true after reading the story, one would be really happy. The language of the story is quite easy and sentence structure is also classified in a very simple language. So I request you everyone, please go through the story line by line and understand the story well. So you must have noticed when the giant was self centered and wicked, he wanted his garden only for his own use. He could not observe, he could not notice the spring in it, and children were horrified to see him. Fine, and they flew away from the garden. It shows the giant's selfishness and wicked nature. But he didn't stick to this. He became soft toward the children finally, and he broke the wall that had been constructed by him. And he regarded the children as the most beautiful flowers of all, and it gave him the ultimate happiness and satisfaction in his life. So, the best lesson we can learn through the story is that sharing the things, sharing whatever we have in our life, and our selflessness in our love and affection can give us the ultimate satisfaction. So, with this note, The story ends over here. Thank you for watching. You are requested to read the story again complete. Thank you.